Outstanding effort again.
We're busting ours to kick yours.
That's big time.
-15.
Respect all, fear none.
Oh, did he belt that one?
Intensity is not a perfume.
It was a no-doubter.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Nobody expected 101 wins from the 2023 Baltimore Orioles.
Hello, goodbye. Orioles win it.
An AL East crown, the #1 seed.
And you can celebrate, everybody. The Orioles in 2023 are American League East champions.
Budding superstars in Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman.
Looked like Gunnar knew what was coming there. That ball is cracked. That ball is going to leave this building.
Expectations for the 2024 Birds were sky high. 91 wins, 5 All-Stars, top 5 MVP finisher. But still, a postseason hurdle remains. The goal for 2025 is clear. Win in October. The O's have something to prove. And it starts today. For the first time in 176 days, the Baltimore Orioles are playing baseball games that count, as it is opening day across Major League Baseball. And we are thrilled to be joining you here on MASN All Access. I'm Mortensen alongside Annie Klaff. And Annie, the Orioles kick off the season north of the border. It's a little bit chilly here. Hopefully it'll be warmer by the time they're back here playing the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, it's a national holiday for some, opening day across the U.S. and even north of the border. In Canada and Toronto. It is a little bit sad that opening day isn't home this year, but they'll be back at Oriole Park at Camden Yards soon enough. Yeah,
and they are kicking off the season with 2 competitive series in the division against the Blue Jays, and then they'll be home against the Red Sox. Let's zoom in before we zoom out. We'll start with today's game. Zach Eflin and Jose Barrios on the mound. There were a few different options for the Blue Jays for their opening day starter. You had guys like Kevin Gausman, a familiar face. They bring in Max Scherzer. They go with Barrios. For the Orioles, Eflin was the obvious choice.
Yeah, like you said, Eflin was the obvious choice. It could have come down to Grayson Rodriguez, Zach Eflin earlier on in spring training, but then, of course, Grayson Rodriguez hitting the injured list to start the season. But Eflin, he just needs to bring the elite command that we all know that he has today and through the rest of the season, remaining consistent. He was great after the trade deadline for the O's, 2.60 ERA. And like you mentioned, Barrios is one of those options for the Blue Jays, but this guy is very familiar with this O's squad. He's 10-1 against the Orioles and a 2.95 career ERA against this Baltimore Orioles squad.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough opening day matchup pitching-wise for the Orioles. We don't know who exactly will be in the lineup. As we are doing this show this morning, we haven't seen the lineup yet. But against a right-handed pitcher in Barrios, we can imagine somebody like Ryan O'Hearn will be in the lineup, and a lot of the usual suspects as well.
Yeah, and Ryan O'Hearn especially, and Ryan Mountcastle, who has had a very strong career at Rogers Center. He has the most amount of home runs for him at any away ballpark is at Rogers Center, and that's 8 home runs out of his whole career. So definitely keep an eye out for Mountcastle at first base today. O'Hearn, like you mentioned, maybe at designated hitter. Maybe Heston Kjerstad as well, another lefty option. But one I'm also looking forward to is Tyler O'Neill. Maybe he can continue that opening day home run record and make it to 6.
Yeah, 5 consecutive opening days with a home run for Tyler O'Neill, looking to make it 6 today against the Blue Jays. Now, we don't know exactly what the roster is going to look like. We've got a good idea. It's not official yet. Livan Soto had a locker yesterday. Jorge Mateo has a locker today. Brian Baker, we are assuming, is going to get that last bullpen spot, but those are really the only 2 spots up for grabs.
Yeah, Brian Baker was definitely the one that you would look to get the nod for that last bullpen spot, especially with Andrew Kittredge falling to injury. He's going to be out for a couple of months, which was definitely a big blow to these offseason additions. Kittredge was one of the ones that I know you and I were most looking forward to. But Brian Baker gets that nod, hopefully. Maybe we'll find out by the end of today, and especially before the game begins. But with Mateo, that one is very surprising to see that he has made such a quick progression, especially coming back from a UCL reconstruction surgery last season after that weird collision injury in July. So that one is also very exciting news to see that he could be playing today.
Yeah, and especially with Gunnar Henderson starting the year on the injured list, it's nice to have a guy in Jorge Mateo who just a few seasons ago was the Orioles' everyday shortstop and had a pretty darn good season. So nice to have Mateo back to begin the year here. But as you mentioned, Andrew Kittredge was a guy we were looking forward to. Unfortunately, we don't get to see him to start the season, but there are a lot of other key offseason additions that the Orioles made. We'll see Tyler O'Neill presumably in the lineup today, and then this weekend, Charlie Morton and Tomoyuki Sugano will hit the hill. Maybe Gary Sanchez catches one of those guys at some point this weekend.
Yeah, a lot of different exciting ads, maybe none of them that would have made a splash, but when you take a look at this payroll increase over the last few years with the new ownership of the Orioles, it is actually really impressive when you take a look and break down. I think the most important thing, especially from Kittredge, which we were excited for in that to add into that bullpen, the most exciting thing and most important is that they got pitching depth in Charlie Morton and Tomoyuki Sugano. So I'm excited to see them hopefully over the next few days, and if not, then here at Camden Yards.
Yeah, the Orioles made some big roster moves in the offseason. They also made some big stadium moves. We've got a lot new here at Camden Yards. Of course, they will be back here playing the Boston Red Sox on Monday. And Annie, you took a look at what's new at Opassi.
There's officially just 2 days left until the return of Major League Baseball, and just under 1 week until Orioles Park at Camden Yards is fully back in business. Several improvements have been made to the ballpark over the offseason, but the one that's most notable is moving the left field wall back in.
We're seeking a more neutral playing environment, but this is one that we still think will assist the pitching environment here at Camden Yards relative to where it was, but be a little less drastic, particularly as it pertains to our right-handed hitters.
One of those righties in particular is Ryan Mountcastle. Since the first wall change in 2022, which Elias now calls an overcorrection, the first baseman has lost the most possible home runs than any other hitter with 11.
It's a good feeling knowing that you can pull the ball again and get good results out of it. So hopefully I can, and we'll see what happens.
Mountcastle had a strong spring, having recorded 5 dingers and pulling the ball nearly 43% of the time, according to Fangraphs. Fans now 12 and under can hang out in that space between the 2 wall changes to seek out home run balls and maybe snag one from Mountie in the upcoming season. Another major addition that the O's have implemented this offseason is the Birdland Value Menu. At numerous locations throughout the ballpark, fans can purchase food and beverages at a reasonable price, with 11 of the 12 items being $5 or less. Orioles President of Business Operations, Katie Griggs, knew that she wanted to put the fan first.
I believe very strongly that sports teams are here for our communities, they're for our fans, and we recognize that doing the right thing for your fans, which oftentimes means including pricing that is accessible to everyone, is really important.
While the intention was not to compete with other stadiums, this Birdland Value Menu surely puts Camden Yards on the map for affordability.
It is among the lowest. There are a handful of other ballparks that do have fan-friendly pricing in place. There still aren't nearly as many as I think there should be, but hopefully that's something we'll see changing. So this is definitely something that is at as low or lower than almost anywhere else you'll find.
On top of that food menu, the O's continue to put an emphasis on community by partnering with local food vendors around Baltimore. Some new ones joining the crew are Ekiben and Atman's Deli. There's tons more to talk about with what's new at Camden Yards, but some other quick notes are the bird bath expanding into 2 sections, and Orange Out's every Saturday home game in honor of the new Orange on Orange uniforms. Finally, be sure to keep an eye out for some new plaques hitting Utah Street. I'm Annie Klaff, MASN All Access.
Well, plenty of exciting changes here at Camden Yards. A lot of good food. I'm excited for that. But the thing that's going to impact baseball the most, Annie, is the new left field wall.
Yeah, this is going to be huge for those right-handed hitters like Ryan Mountcastle, an incoming right-handed hitter. Tyler O'Neill, he mentioned that was one of the most contributing factors in him coming to Baltimore, which is a no-brainer. I mean, you take a look at how home run friendly it was before 2022, and then just a complete drastic change, and that's something that Mike Elias even called an overcorrection when they first made that change in 2022. So this is with hopes to make it a more happy medium. But Ryan Mountcastle was one of those guys before the wall change that led this entire team with home runs, with 33 in 2021. So, and he's missed out on 11 home run opportunities since then. So that he's the leader for among all hitters in this ballpark, visitors and home players as well, to miss out on those home run opportunities. So I'm sure he's looking forward to a little bit push in from that left field wall.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'll make a big difference for guys like O'Neill and Mountcastle, as you mentioned. There's also some really good left-handed hitters, Colton Cowser, Gunnar Henderson, who I'm sure would be able to utilize the opposite way a little bit more. But the Orioles are going to need a lot of contributions from everybody because they start the season up in Toronto. They come back home against the Boston Red Sox. Those are two teams in the AL East that got significantly better in the offseason, and this is a tough division once again.
Yeah, I think it's quickly coming back to being one of the best divisions in baseball because the competition this season is going to be really, really tight. I mean, obviously, it's the Yankees. Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. They've had some tough blows this offseason with Garrett Cole being out for the year and Luis Gil starting on the 60-day injured list. But then they also got Max Fried, and that acquisition makes it
That'll help.
all the more important when you lose those two guys. But like you mentioned, the Red Sox, I think they're going to be one of the toughest competitors. They had a really, really good offseason with bringing in Alex Bregman, Garrett Crochet, Walker Buehler. The list goes on for them, and you can really never count out the Rays and the Blue Jays. So it'll be a really, really tight race coming up.
Yeah, and of course this weekend the Blue Jays got better because they added Anthony Santander, who hit 44 home runs for the Orioles last year. So that's no surprise in the American League East. It is going to be a tough division, as always, and the Orioles will have a tough battle and a tough road in the 2025 season, but we are so excited to bring you coverage of this new year of Orioles baseball here on MASN. Make sure you tune in to O's Extra today at 3 o'clock as the O's kick off their season against the Blue Jays, and make sure you stay tuned in to all of our Orioles social pages throughout the season. We will have you covered here on MASN. Thanks so much for tuning in to MASN All Access. For Annie Klaff, I'm Brendan Mortensen. Happy opening day, everyone.